Welcome to the Art Colony, a podcast about art and art history in Provincetown. My name is Gaston Lacombe. Well, people in this town now know that I have a podcast. I don't know how they found out. Just kidding. But true, I now have a lot of people coming up to me to talk about the podcast. Most often, people that I have never met before. And often they ask me, who's next? So in this last week, when I was telling these people that I was about to interview today's guest, here are some of the reactions I received. Oh my God, I just love her. Wonderful. She's such a lovely person. Oh, I can't wait to listen to this one. And so on. It seems everyone loves our guest today, and that is Zoe Lewis. So let's welcome to the Art Colony podcast, Zoe Lewis. How are you?
I'm lovely. I'm so happy to be here.
And you're lovely too.
Well, no, that's really nice. People said that. My gosh.
Yeah, people were really excited to know you were coming to visit me. So we have to tell our guests now, who is Zoe Lewis?
I am from England. I was born in a little village called Rottingdean on the south coast of England, where the white cliffs are made of chalk and the smugglers lived in, or smuggled things in caves. It's an old-fashioned village like Miss Marple, and Brighton is right next door, which is just 50 minutes from London on the train. So anyway, I'm a village girl from England, and I loved growing up there, but I always had the wanderlust, and I had to go off and see this world. So I left it when I went to London and played in bands and all sorts of, became a musician, and then I headed off to see this beautiful, crazy, wide world. And I've been to over 70 countries. I, started traveling, and then I couldn't stop. And I eventually washed ashore here in Provincetown.
Washed ashore with your instruments?
I didn't have a piano with me. I had a harmonica in my pocket. Maybe I had a ukulele over my shoulder, but I found Provincetown, and it's a village just like my village by the sea. But I always say, in my village in England, all the old ladies had poodles, and then I moved to Provincetown, and all the young gentlemen had poodles. And I liked it even better. So I love a small community. I understand how it works, and it's by the sea. I can't live in the middle. I have to live on the edge. So I found my paradise.
Did you say your village was called Rottingdean?
Yes.
Where does that name come from?
Rottingdean. A dean is a valley, and rotting was an Anglo-Saxon name for, I don't know, one of the Viking leaders or something.
So it doesn't mean that the place is...
No, it's not rotting at all. We have Rottingdean.
Unless it's rutting with a U.
No, that would be naughty.
That would be naughty.
A Rottingdean. I know, I never, when it's just a word in your mind growing up, you don't think anything of rotting, but then you move to the States and everyone is like picking it apart because,
it's an unusual name.
It is. Well, we have Saltdean, which is next door, Ovingdean and Woodingdean. So it's all sort of very old place names.
Mm-hmm.
There is a place nearby called Loose Bottom too. But we won't go into that.
Okay. Well, in Washington, D.C., where I lived before Provincetown, there's a place called Foggy Bottom.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There's a place in the dunes here called that too.
Oh, really?
No, I'm joking.
So at what point did music come into your life?
When I popped out of the womb.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I sang in tune when I did my first wail. And I've always played music. My mum had me when she was 51, and my brother and sister 20 years older than me. So I was an accident, or, a surprise, put it that way. And my mum, she wasn't religious, but she prayed that she would have a child that could sing. And she always says she was tone deaf, even though I don't think she was. But my dad was more musical, but we didn't have musicians in our family, really. And I came out singing. And
so who introduced you to music then?
The world. I mean, my dad could play by ear. He had a little electrical organ and he would play that. But I took piano lessons when I was little, but I never had a piano. But I was always drawn to music. It's something I was drawn to it. I couldn't not do music. I've always lived off music. I've always played music. It wasn't till I was 13 that I got a piano, and I had it in my bedroom, and I just shut the door and play. And I taught myself because I didn't want to do classical. I wanted to learn what jazz was, but it was very hard to find what jazz was in my village. So I got all the records and I transcribed and, eventually found a Latin band that I played with, learned Latin grooves. I'd never heard anything like it, So, and then I went traveling the world. So world beat grooves are very important to me, and I seeped them all in like a little sponge. I went to New Orleans, and my gosh, I was in heaven listening to all the jazz there. So I'm a very self-taught. I'm not, I would have loved to have gone to jazz school. We didn't have those opportunities. I just went to
that's
the school
interesting.
of life, really.
Because I would have thought that you would have gone to music school and then to a university degree in music, because you play so many instruments in so many styles.
Yeah, well,
But that was all
I'm all
self-taught.
over the place. Yeah, I was going to go to university. I didn't go to university. I was going to study, well, because I said I wanted to, when I was 11, I went on a cruise with my parents, and we were in the Caribbean. My dad, because he was so old, he retired when I was 11. So we used the retirement money to go on a cruise and visit my sister who lived in Curacao. That's a whole nother story. And but I saw under the water that it was clear and there were fish and it was warm and it wasn't like the English sea. So I thought, I want to go traveling the world. And I also saw the cruise industry, and I saw that there was an entertainment officer who would arrange deck games and bingo. And this, as little Zoe, thought, this is exactly my kind of job.
Did you watch The Love Boat growing up?
Yes.
So you wanted to be Julie.
Yes, whatever. I wanted to be like traveling the seven seas, singing and playing. So basically that's my life. So, but I wanted to do that. So, but of course I had to go to university, and I said, please, may I do music? But I didn't want to, it was too stuffy, the classical world for me. No opportunities, as I said before, to do jazz or any other kind of music. So I said to the careers officer, I remember when I had my interview at college, I would like to become an entertainment officer on board a Caribbean cruise liner, please. And she laughed. And then I really did. And then she said, well, why don't you study tourism? So because I said I'd like to do music, and she laughed at that. Ha ha, you'll never get on and make money with that. So I went to study tourism. But that summer holiday day, I went to buy a used stereo that I saw in the back of the newspaper. With my Saturday job, I'd save my money so I could play records and they would sound good. And I happened to mention to the guy who was in a band that I played keyboard. And next thing I knew, I was in a band, and they were like punk rockers. And I remember going home saying, please, can I not go to college? And please, can I just play in the band? And my parents said yes.
Oh, nice.
Because they were older, and they were like, look, let her do what she wants to do. So I'm very lucky.
And what year was that?
Oh my gosh.
Was it at the height of the punk era in the late 70s?
No.
No? Early 80s?
Probably 85.
Okay.
Early 80s. 83, 84.
So right between punk and new romantic. And this was in London?
It was, well, the first one was in Brighton. Maybe it was 83. And then they were just like ne'er-do-wells, those boys. But they were great.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the drummer said, maybe you should find another band. So anyway, I looked in the back of the Melody Maker. That's what we did in those days. And they were looking for a keyboard player. Anyway, I went to London. And these guys, they were studying music. And it's the course that I wish I'd have done. But I kind of did it through them because I joined their band. And I learned the Latin. They were studying the Latin tinge. And suddenly my hips started moving to music, and I started grooving in a whole different way. And they were writing pop songs. And I remember Sade was rehearsing next to us. And there was Latin music in pop tunes in those days. Joe Jackson had got Cha Cha Loca out, which was, teaching me. I learned through the pop world, really, about world beat music. And it totally, I got me interested. That's where my ears go. I love the groove.
Mm-hmm.
So, I learned through just playing with people, really.
And you started with the keyboard.
Yeah.
But what else do you play now? You play a lot more instruments than that.
Well, piano was my first. And then I started writing. I love writing. I've always written. And but it was very good to pick up other instruments because then it took me out of my brain because I knew what I was doing on the piano. And when I started picking up other instruments, I suddenly could write from a more pure place because my hands just went on the fretboard. I picked up the guitar and I just strummed and then sang. And again, my style on the guitar is terrible, but I use it as a vehicle for songwriting. And then I picked up the ukulele. Probably I picked that up when I came to the States. I loved traveling the world. I was in South and Central America after I left England. People would grab a calabash from the tree and start making music, or get an old garbage can lid and start hitting it. Or there's music everywhere. I actually do a kids' workshop called Music in Our Pockets, which is take anything out of your pocket and make a sound with it, and that, my very English sensibilities got all, opened up and I could make, stop being so traditional. And I love that, make music out of anything. So then I started jumping freight trains when I came to the States because I met another bunch of little naughty punk rockers and they would jump trains and you can't take a piano with you on a train or even a ukulele. I suppose you could, but I hadn't picked up the ukulele then. I took a harmonica, so I started playing with the trains on my harmonica.
And then, where did you end up?
Yeah. No, well, on the trains, I ended up, all up and down the West Coast. We actually ended up in Canada by accident to come back. I was 23 and I was free and I wanted to see the world. And, as I said before, I'm from this little village and you can be whoever you want to be each day when you're traveling, a new person. And that's when I came out immediately. I was like, this is the Zoe that I always wanted to be.
It's interesting. I often think about that because when I was in my early 20s, I was also traveling all over. I was mostly in Eastern Europe, going all over these countries. And back then, there was no social media.
Oh.
So as soon as you set foot on that plane, you would disappear.
Yep.
And you could become a different person. You had no expectations. You didn't have to account to anyone. You were completely free and you could become who you wanted to be. And you didn't have to, check in on Instagram. It was such a freeing thing to do back then to travel.
We're very lucky.
But
I think
nowadays,
it's
I don't think we can really do that anymore.
Yeah. No, it was beautiful. As you say, I didn't go home for a year the first time I left. I wasn't planning that. I just left. But, I could buy one-way tickets. I could do what I learned so much. I had American Express traveler's checks. You have to really budget. There's no credit card. I never had a credit card. I know there was no phones. I never phoned home. I wrote letters. Remember those?
Yes.
And I would even get letters. Like in Peru, I remember going to Poste Restante to the post office, and there was a letter from my mum, my auntie, and a few friends. And I would write epistles about my adventures and send them home. I was certainly in touch, but my poor mum, when I think about it. But it was how it was done. And I had my Lonely Planet in my pocket. And it gave me great life skills, as far as, getting by and working it out. And if you have no money, well, you better go and play the harmonica in the street or something because no one's going to help you.
Yeah, that's
it makes
for
you
sure.
understand. For me, it gives me empathy for people on the street. Something could just happen and there you are, didn't have a security blanket at all. And it was fabulous.
Yeah, it was.
And you make friends.
You really had to learn to think on your feet and move fast. Yeah.
And it's that, that when I eventually came to Provincetown, talk about community holding you up. I felt very safe here and I felt very held up by so many hands. And I see that with other people who come here now. And it felt like coming home.
So what year did you end up in Provincetown?
Who knows? But I think it was 1990 or 91. And that was it. I got, I think I came up to do a show at the post office. I was in Northampton first, Massachusetts. And then I came to do a show at the post office over Memorial Day. There were we had 2 shows and then they offered the whole summer. And in those days, it came with accommodation. So suddenly I was also playing piano in Franco's, which is where the Muse is now, and also another place called Rick's, which is now the Monkey Bar. So I had 13 shows a week.
Wow.
I'd never had so many shows, and people came, and I had money.
And you were young and energetic.
Yeah, I know. I was like, how could I have managed that? But, in your 20s, you can just keep playing like a Duracell bunny.
And what were you playing back then?
I was doing jazz, Cole Porter and all the old tunes in restaurants. And then in the evening, I'd do the Lesbian Lounge Lizards, which was a funny duo. We went on at 11:15 every night, 5 or 6 nights a week. Can you believe?
And you filled up the room?
11:15. Well, we did decently.
Yeah.
There were women then too in Provincetown, more, who actually would come to the show and stay up that late at 11:15. I can't believe. But anyway, and then we'd go out afterwards.
And who was playing with you with the Lesbian Lounge
just
Lizards?
two of us, Julie Wheeler and me. We'd come up from Northampton, and then I did my own thing, my jazz gig, and I loved playing Franco's. Back then, there were all these very handsome waiters, and they hold the trays over their heads, and they had long white aprons, and they swanned around the room, and I just thought I'd really made it because it was so stylish. And he had a beautiful Art Deco collection. And I remember getting a nice little jacket to wear and try and spruce myself up. And I remember after my first summer, he came up and said, "We'd like you to perform next year again, please." And I just thought I had made it in life. And there we go. Provincetown cast its spell on me. And then I'd go traveling every winter with my money in my pocket. And I'd come back in the spring with much less and start all over again. And I'm very thankful because I got a very reasonable rent from an old lady who lived next to Spiritus. She owned a building there, and I remember knocking on the door once and said, "Please, can I perhaps rent from you?" And she said, "There's an extra apartment." "Dear, yes, you can, $500 a month." And that's what I paid for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
That was when Provincetown was artist friendly. Thank you, Diana Hanley, for helping me be an artist all these years, because without her, I don't think I'd have managed to stay here.
Welcome back. My weekly reminder to follow us on Instagram at the Art Colony Podcast. Please follow us there to find out what's going on in our world. And also, if you want to support us, you can go to buymeacoffee.com, do a search for the Art Colony Podcast, and leave us a little tip to help keep us on the air. And I want to thank Joe for your very generous contribution. I also want to say thank you to Daniel Hammond. When I'm on YouTube, a lot of people comment on the shirts I'm wearing. Well, today I am wearing a design by Daniel Hammond, and it's from the Trevor collection. Trevor McCula, who was one of our guests a few months ago, you can listen to his podcast, has this collaboration now with Daniel Hammond, and he has a huge collection of clothing there. And Daniel will soon be a guest on our podcast as well. So thank you, Daniel Hammond, for sponsoring the wardrobe this week. And also, I want to tell you that on July 21st, we will have a live recording of the Art Colony podcast at the Commons to mark the 1-year anniversary of our podcast. So if you want to join us and be in the live audience, you can do so on July 21st. So follow us on Instagram to get all the details on time and all these other things. And it's coming up soon, so see you there. Now, Zoe, so tell us, what is your music about?
Oh, well, have you got 10 hours? No.
we have one.
No, my music is about joy, I suppose, in one word. I tell stories through my songs. It's about, some people say my music's like a photo. I capture a moment in time, maybe a travel adventure. Walk around with my little book and write my notes. I'm quite nostalgic. I've written about 2 bigger musicals and lots of mini little musicals. I just, it's about my life really, and what I see. Try and give people hope, I suppose. And and encourage them to be themselves and not be burdened down by all society's pressures. And that same feeling we were talking about, the joys of travel, how it frees you up, but you can try and get hold of that freedom when you're at home or when you're in one place. So, I have 10 albums of original material. I can't say the word. I have 10 albums of original material.
You did it.
Thank you. And I'm very proud of all of them. You can see how I've evolved. I grew up with, my mum would read me poetry a lot when I was little, but a lot of children's poetry. And I think there is such a beauty in that, in those and how children see the world. And I want to allow people to still have that freedom and fun as they did when they were children, It's important.
Do you write everything yourself, or do you tend to have collaborations?
No, you know what? I'm sort of like an only child, even though I have a brother and sister. No, I do it all on my own. I'd like to collaborate, but I'm just very sure with what I want to say. I'm like, at the moment, I'm writing a song about encyclopedias. Remember those?
Yes.
It's just an inanimate object, but it's full of magic. That's another thing I like to write about, magic, the magic in life. No, I write on my own. And when I was traveling, I like to be on the move. I feel like it really, that for me, artistically, it churns things up and it's inspiring. Because you see things with new eyes, like a child, everything's new. But as I said before, it's important to try and see everything like that. So the encyclopedia is just, that's where I got my learning. That's when life was slower. That's when I could cherish each fact and photo on every page, and I didn't have to rush off and do 9 million things, and I could ingest it all. And I desire to get back to those days.
So you were also one of these children who read the dictionary like I did.
Yes.
So it sounds like pretty much anything can trigger creation in you.
Yeah, if I'm open.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard when you're a writer. At this point in my life, I've written a lot of the things I want to say. So when I was little, they would come at me like bullets, ideas. And now, I have to get myself in that head frame. But when I'm in it, I'm just very sort of focused in my own head. I go every other year to a writer's residency in Greece on an island, which is really good for me because I'm on my own in a little white shack with a blue shutter, and the sage is growing outside and the lemons are hanging from the trees, and
That sounds awful.
The birds are singing, and I'm just there with a piano and a guitar and a notepad.
That sounds idyllic, really.
But it really is, and I've also done it in Key West. I can apply for residencies, and it's great to concentrate. But before, and now I have to sort of sit down and make myself come on, get all the ideas that have been floating around and put them down. But in the old days, I sort of just lived like that. I was always regurgitating ideas, and that's kind of growing older, isn't it?
Well, I was wondering if your practice as a songwriter was something you did regularly or spontaneously. Is it something that you schedule time for, or it's something that comes when it comes?
Well, I'd say spontaneously because I'm very naughty. Because when the sun's out, oh, I'm sorry, I got to go on my bike or go and jump in the sea. I have friends who are writers, novel writers or whatever, and they are very disciplined. Quite a few of them anyway, and they get up. I'm always like, how do you do it? They get up and they have 2 hours writing or whatever, and then they do their business stuff in the afternoon. I'm like, oh, I'm having my coffee. And no, so it's spontaneous.
Yeah.
But with the residencies, then then it makes me go, and I'm there just for that.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while. I mean, many writers say, it takes a while to get into that zone. You can't just sit down and write, or I can't. I mean, you have to decide, what is it? What am I trying to say? And I have to think a lot about it before I start writing. And at the moment, the encyclopedia song, I keep going back to the piano and then I get disturbed or something. But it's gradually coming out of me. Last night I was dreaming the song. I dreamed the songs too.
I dream my paintings.
It's lovely,
so it's
isn't
an
it?
artist thing.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So you brought a little song for us to sing?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have many songs, and it is 9:30 in the morning, so I might sound like Louis Armstrong.
Well, it's actually 10:06 right now. We've been recording for like half an hour.
Now, where are you from?
I'm originally from the province of New Brunswick in Canada.
So this is a little song called Entre Chien Et Loup.
Oh, that's a very nice French expression.
Yes, meaning?
Meaning between the end of the day when the sun goes down and darkness. So it's the
Entre chien, between dog?
Between dog and wolf.
There we go.
Between sunset and darkness.
Sort of, that's life really, isn't it? And there's always light when there's darkness, and don't forget that. And I was on Herring Cove once with a lovely lady, and she said, "Maintenant c'est entre chien et loup." It's between dog and wolf. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was from Canada, French Canada. And the sun had just set, and we were waiting for the moon to rise, and the dogs had gone to sleep, and perhaps there was a coyote walking by, and it was an eerie moment, yet it was gorgeous. And I realized you have to take risks in life to find the true beauty. So this little song is called Between Dog and Wolf. When the sun takes off her hat and she sinks into the sea, you can almost taste the oranges and reds, believe you me. And all the lamps turn on and the flowers close tight, and the golden naked moon enters the still blue night. When dog is about to meet wolf, it's a beautifully dangerous time, and it feels like the edge of the world. And I feel so happy that you're mine. I can smell the summer air, rose hips and skin, and the sound of wings around my head as the birds fly in. I'm shaking off the sand in this salty little town, 'cause anything is possible if we just slow down. All right, you can sing if you like. Here we go. Da 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 da. Hey, da 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 da, and da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yeah, when dog is about to meet wolf, it's a beautifully dangerous time, and it feels like the edge of the world. And I feel so happy that you're mine. So close your doors and windows, or just decide to let it in. When the owl is on the prowl, that's when the stars start to sing. I'm shaking off the sand in this salty little town, 'cause anything is possible if we just slow down. Here we go. Da 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 da. Hey, da 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 ba ba 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 da 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 da. Hey, da 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 da. Hey.
Oh, I'm so happy, Zoe.
Yeah.
You can hear the whole podcast audience now applauding. Yay.
I hope you all sang along.
I hope so too.
Okay.
That was beautiful, Zoe. Thank you so much for sharing your song with us.
Pleasure.
Where can people hear you in Provincetown then?
Well, I've played practically every gin joint there is here.
Uh-huh.
But right now in 2026, I am performing at the Red Room. I have a speakeasy, which I'm very proud of, and we do 1920s songs, and I have a whole gang of crooners who sing with me. We have a 1920s Prohibition era jazz band, and I've had over 150 different people join me during that show. So we've done it for 15 years. It's moved around, but it started in the Velvet, and now it's the Red Room, and it's great because it's like an old-fashioned sort of speakeasy. That's going to be on, here I have to get my glasses, the 21st of July at 7 p.m. at the Red Room. We're also doing it in August on the 17th of August at 7 p.m. And we'll probably do one for Women's Week in October too. So I'm very proud of the Speakeasy. And then I also have a show called Zoe with a Z at the Art House. You can see all of this on zoelewis.com on my website.
Oh, you're good. You didn't have much competition for your name.
No, well, and I got it early. There's more Zoe Lewises out there.
Yeah.
There only used to be dogs called Zoe when I was little. Poodles, actually. But no, now babies. Well, now grown people are called Zoe's, but I got the original zoelewis.com.
And it's written as you would expect. Zoelewis.
Correct.
Yeah. No special millennial spelling there.
No, there are dots over the E, but I don't do that on my website. It's too confusing.
So we will have to look for you in Provincetown, but you also have written 2 musicals and you have 10 albums?
Yes, correct.
Where can that music be found?
Well, nowadays, of course, you can find it all on Spotify, all on the general platforms where you can, download, or you can write to me and I'll send you the actual physical CD.
For those looking on YouTube, we have the physical CDs here.
And you can also get them at gigs. I still carry them around at gigs. I've got, gigs up and down the Cape. And I also travel all over the world and still play. I play in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico every winter. I have a West Coast tour in the fall. Where else? I'm playing on an Olivia cruise in Tahiti in September.
Oh my God,
so
lucky you.
I do get around. I just played London too. So it's, I, of course, carry CDs with me and people still do buy them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this morning I woke up, sat in bed with my computer and listened to you on Spotify.
Oh.
I was going through all your albums.
Yeah, they're good in the morning. People say I'm like a cup of coffee.
True.
It
was refreshing.
Good. Thank you. I'm glad.
And what's the experience like to record an album compared to playing live in front of an audience?
Well, that's a great question. Some people absolutely adore recording albums. I'm a live performer. That's what it's my job. So my experience performing live is so much more than my experience of recording. I've had like thousands and thousands more hours of playing live. So to capture that live feeling is so hard in the studio. As soon as you press record, you're like, So, and I'm not very technically great. So I think if I had my home studio, I could probably get in touch with that more. But I do have a great recording engineer in Orleans, John Evans, who I've done my last few albums with, and he plays for Tori Amos and all sorts of people. He's a really genius bass player. So he's got great ears. So we work together. But it's something I've learned. I think my albums are getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said before, I hear it all in my head, so I know what I want. And then I have to just learn how to relay it, And a lot of the instruments I play myself, but then I do have like drums, for instance. A lot of drummers here are more on the beat. I mean, I'm being very generalizing here. But, I listen to Cape Verdean grooves. I'm in Latin countries a lot. So I unbeknownst, I'm picking up different grooves. So people aren't necessarily so well versed in them. So, but if I play in Mexico, I have a drummer in Mexico. It's a whole nother thing. He can't swing, so it's really interesting. And, I love all that stuff. But it's, working with and my band that I'm very proud of. I have some great musicians on the Cape. The more you play with someone, they get what you're after. And, But to answer your question, it's harder in the studio. I think it's a mental thing too. Some people absolutely adore it. they say the studio is meant to be the best way, the best sound that the song could ever sound is what you record and put it out. But there have been people who've recorded their album and then after going on tour for like a year or two, they've made the song sound even better and they record it again. I've read that and I kind of understand that. So.
And you mentioned a band, but do you play most of the instruments on your albums, or do you rely on a band for that?
I play quite a lot of them. It depends which album you're talking about. I've worked with Kate Wolf in the past a lot, who's a bass player, and her sister Julie Wolf, they're twins, and they do amazing harmony on, because they've got twin harmony going on, and Julie also plays accordion. And then I've used John Evans a lot. He plays the bass on the last few albums. And Matthias Bossi, who's a great drummer on the Cape. But my general band, I've been playing with a guy called Kareem Sanjagi, and he is brilliant, and Ron Siegel on the bass. And Roxanne Layton is a dear friend of mine, and we've been playing together for years and years and years, and she plays with Mannheim Steamroller, and she plays the recorder, and she's a virtuoso on her instrument. So we also have the same sense of humor, so I love playing with Roxanne.
You mentioned a bunch of names there, but on your website, I also saw Judy Collins, Indigo Girls, Pat Benatar. Tell us more about that.
Well, let's think. Judy Collins, I was playing a music festival in Canada, and this lady with blue eyes and white hair kept walking back and forth. Me and Roxanne were playing, and she was like, "That's Judy Collins." I didn't know. Anyway, I got off stage and I was summoned to her dressing room, and she signed me to her record label. So I toured with her for a bit, and she put out one of my albums. Went really well. And then Indigo Girls, I've opened for them a lot, and I've sung in their show. And Pat Benatar I opened for, which is hilarious, on the ukulele. And I have been recently playing with Kate Pearson from the B-52s.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And that's been phenomenal. And I've actually played in her own band and on the Cape, which is a thrill. And she's just a lovely person.
Does she join you during the Speakeasy?
She has.
Oh, good.
She has done the Speakeasy.
Yeah.
You never know who we have all sorts of people. We could have celebrities, rock stars, waiters, the town crier, the lady from the bank. Because, Provincetown, every time you meet the locals, you say, they work in the bank, but it's like, do you happen to sing? Or are you an artist? Or and then you find out that they have another amazing talent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Speakeasy is about, really. It's about our community. And, also in Prohibition time, we never had, drinks were still readily available in Provincetown, and the whole gay 20s thing is just wild, and so that's why I love doing that. But it's all about community, that show. But yeah, there's you never know. When you're swimming, you might be swimming next to a Pulitzer Prize winner or something. It's just the love of Cape Cod, and you make friends, and then you're like, wow, that's an amazing film director or whatever. But we're just all stunned by the beauty of this place, and we're all just humans together.
Yeah.
And everyone has an amazing talent if you just look inside.
Yeah, this happens in Provincetown. Speaking of a film director, I had that happen to me, exactly that. I was sharing a workspace with someone for a whole summer, and after that, I discovered that this person is a Golden Globe, Emmy-winning, extremely prolific and popular producer. And not producer, but director. My producer, Chad, had that experience a few weeks ago. He was, I think, at the Red Inn at the bar talking to someone, and only after leaving did he realize this person is an Emmy-winning actor. Yeah, that's
what. Well, I remember taking the little plane back once, many years ago from Boston, and there was a guy with like walking sticks, and he was coming back. I think I was coming back from Greece, and so was he. And I was like, "Hey, do you need a hand?" Anyway, we ended up sitting next to each other, and we were chatting, and we were chatting, and he was kind of out there and really fascinating. chatting. And I was like, have you lived in town for a long time? And he said, oh, I've been here for years. And, I was like, what's your name? And he went, Norman. And I was like, Norman who? I know everyone. He went, Norman Mailer. And I was like, and I couldn't speak after that. But he was lovely, actually. And his wife and all the family were meeting him. And I met them all. And then he brought them all to my show that night. So, but you never know,
And if someone listening would like to come on the podcast and talk about Norman Mailer in Provincetown, please get in touch.
Yes.
And also, my partner was talking just this week about what was Provincetown like during the 1920s, during Prohibition. And that would be a great show, too, if anybody has any information about that.
I don't know who's around anymore.
I know, that's a long time ago.
My eyelash lady, Alona Royce Smithkin, she was born in 1920. She was an amazing artist. I love to think of Provincetown in those days. I mean, she was born then, so she didn't come here till about 50s, 40s. But anyway, those stories of our little town are just thrilling.
Okay, Zoe, we're now in the last part of the interview. And do you know what that means?
No.
It means the speed round.
Oh.
I ask you a question with a this or that choice. You have to pick one.
Oh, gosh.
And then you have to justify your choice. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
Okay. Now you have to choose. If you were to be hired to play, would you rather play in Puerto Vallarta or play on a cruise?
Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta? You go there every winter now?
Yes.
Yeah? How is that?
I love it. It's wild and wonderful. It's Provincetown South, but, it's touristy and brash and crazy. But you can just walk a little bit further away and you're more in Mexico. And again, to me, it's like Provincetown. Each year I lived in Provincetown, first of all, it was the party layer, then it was the nature layer, then you met the scientists from coastal studies, then you met the mushroomers, then you met the birders, then you met the, artists, then you met the writers. There's always something to explore and discover. However, I've lived here 35 years. There's always a new thing to find. And that's how Puerto Vallarta is for me. So you'd find that on a cruise, I suppose, but it's full of adventure and full of, and it's gay, which is an amazing thing to be in a gay community.
Yeah.
Very lucky. People, I go back to England, they're like, how is it there in the United States? And I'm like, well, we're in our bubble, aren't we?
How are the audiences in Puerto Vallarta compared to the audiences in Provincetown?
They're similar, but perhaps a little older. It's a much larger town. So for me, it goes really well. There's a lot of Canadians. There's a lot of snowbirds. And there are people who come. It's seasonal. It is another seasonal place. Like I play at 5:30 now, which is gorgeous. and it's packed. And, it's gay and straight. All the drag queens are there too. It's similar. I find perhaps it's a little easier for me to get a crowd there now. It's a bit like Provincetown used to be. I mean, it's changing rapidly there too, and it's getting more expensive. But for instance, for being a performer there, anywhere you go, they're like, oh, so you're a performer, come on in. Or, and you have a whole performer plan that's really nice and you feel like you're right in with the community. And I meet all the gringo performers, but I also have lots of Mexican performers that play with me, and I love that because musically it's very
because you get
inspiring.
your Latin rhythms.
I do. I love it.
Yeah. Next question. Do you prefer playing solo or playing with a band?
I like to mix it up. That's
No,
not
you have
fair.
to choose one.
I like being on my own because I can travel and it's easy and I can live off it, but there's nothing like jamming with people. And look, you just jammed with me. You just sang with me. So I suppose if I don't have a band, I can jam with the audience. I love the interaction. That's not fair. I like both.
Okay, fine. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Next question. Electric or acoustic?
Acoustic.
Always?
There's more things to go wrong with electric. Acoustic, you can just take the ukulele on the beach. You can go anywhere. You're free. With electric, you need more things. I'm always stunned by people who have all these there's equipment on stage and everything, but there's for me, if it goes wrong, I'm really in trouble. And it's like I just want to simplify and keep life simple. So yeah, I
So
say
when you go on
acoustic.
stage, are your instruments plugged in, or is it all about playing
No,
in the
they're
microphone?
plugged in,
They're
but
plugged in.
you can have electric guitar and you can have looping pedals, you can have effects. Lately I've been doing shows with pictures behind and videos, and it's great because people listen with their eyes now. They need a whole entertainment thing, and I used to like balk against that, but actually it really like brings songs alive. I see that now. But then I have to stick to the set because the poor person who's like operating the slides and everything has to, know what's coming up next. And I am notorious for like taking us on a different journey. The band know it. Like we'll have a set, but we'll always go off it because the room, maybe someone's falling asleep in the front. I better do a big rousing number, or maybe like they're too excited or there's drunk people in the corner. I'm going to bring it down and like catch them in. It's like life. You've got to just turn with the punches. You've got to wing it. You got to jump that train if it comes by or not, if it's too fast, so yeah, I like to be freer and have the option to go in a different direction.
We have a great performer here in Provincetown, Todd Alsop. For the last few years has been doing these great sort of multimedia shows where he sings and there's pictures behind him and there's little video clips coming in, and it's really entertaining. It keeps your attention, keeps you awake, keeps your attention, although you would never fall asleep with Todd Alsop.
Yeah.
It's a very lively show.
But people do expect that more now. And I think in the old days, it used to be the song should be enough. The words of the song, the way to, there's a great skill in that and a beauty. But yeah, but if I had to particularly, I have to like pull out all the stops.
Oh, yeah? Is it more competition there?
No, I guess the place I'm playing, the Palm Cabaret, which is a great venue. I mean, they have such a wonderful video system. It's a shame not to use it. And I go and see the other shows, and it's awesome. Like if I'm singing a song about a rotary phone, and there's a huge phone behind, or how beautiful it is to be alive, or Entre Chien Et Loup, and there's a picture of Provincetown and the sunset. It helps transport people.
Next question will appeal to your sense of style. Hats or scarves?
Suspenders.
Suspenders. Oh, true. I should have put that in.
Because if I like a hat, but I have curly hair and it makes me have hat head. And then if I take it off, it's better I don't wear a hat because I'm a curly person.
Well, I was looking at your pictures online, and you do seem to have a collection of hats and scarves, but I didn't think of suspenders.
I do, yeah. But suspenders, if I put my suspenders on, when you're traveling, you can't I travel with juggling plates and washboards and harmonicas and all sorts of things in my bag. It's the most peculiar assortment of things, and you can't take that many clothes. So if I have my suspenders and my performing pants and, a certain pair of shoes, I'm ready. I put those on. If I put the suspenders on, I'm ready to go. I feel like, okay, I'm performing now.
You ever get stopped at the border and they say, "What is that in your bag?"
Juggling
plates?
Well, the harmonicas actually have caused a lot of problem lately because they've got, I don't know, they've got little metal sharp plates inside them, and they always, if I'm doing carry-on, they always I go, "I've got harmonicas," and they go, "Oh, okay." Apparently they flag something.
Interesting.
The plates have been all right.
The plates have been all right. Now, last question. It's a very difficult one.
Oh.
Apples or oranges?
There's an orange because it's got a bit more vitamin C in it.
Well, that's very important.
And I like a bit of juice.
I love oranges in the winter. That's when all the interesting ones come out. They have now the sumo oranges, and then you have the blood oranges, and have all these different varieties that only come out in winter. That's when I really get excited about fruit.
Well, and I like to be in a place where oranges grow.
Do they have that in Puerto Vallarta?
I haven't seen oranges, but I mean, down in Florida they have them. I haven't seen oranges there, no. They have limes.
Nice.
lots and lots of
Yeah.
limes. But in Greece, they have the lemons on the trees outside, which I love. But I'm sure they have oranges.
Oh, good. Okay, so before we go, Zoe Lewis,
Yes.
remind us of your website.
ZoeLewis.com.
And do you have a presence on social media?
Well, I'm a bit old-fashioned. You can find me on Facebook. I do have Instagram, but I don't really use it. I only have had an iPhone for the last 2 years because I had a flip phone because I'm a Luddite. But yeah, just go to my website and you can find me if you are a detective. And no, I'm all over the place. But ZoeLewis.com is the best way to contact me, and Facebook, and I do have Instagram. So yeah.
And remind us of the dates of the upcoming Speakeasy.
The Speakeasy is at the Red Room, the 21st of July and August the 17th. And I'm also Zoe with a Z at the Art House in July and August. And I'm performing at the Truro Library for the outdoor series. And at the Captain's Choice in Truro, which will be fun. But I'm here, there, and everywhere. I have a nice summer. Not too many shows, just very sweet ones.
Well, good. Just enough to keep you alive.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy you came over.
Thank you.
And I'm sure
This
a
is
lot of people are going to be very
podcast.
happy to hear your episode. Yeah.
Well, lots of love to everyone and make the most of everything. And thank you, Gaston.
And thank you. And thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.